Welcome back, everybody, to the Philadelphia Eagles franchise here on Madden 22. Today we will be kicking off the long-term simulation. As we look to wrap up this series, we're going to get an opportunity to see what happens in the careers of all the players who we've gotten to know and love with this team. In the last episode, we had the Super Bowl against the Indianapolis Colts. It was an unbelievable game. If you didn't watch it, I'll leave the card at the top right because you should. We completed the perfect season by going 17-0 in the regular season, and then, of course, undefeated in the playoffs, winning the Super Bowl. It wasn't always pretty, though. We've had so many come-from-behind deficits throughout the season, particularly in this game against the Colts. We were down 17-0 after the first quarter. Then we scored 31 unanswered, and with 2 minutes to go, we led by 14. We thought we had the game won. Not so fast. The Colts scored 2 touchdowns late, bringing it to overtime, and we ultimately won off of a game-winning field goal by Zebediah Phoenix II. Malachi Madison led the charge, winning Super Bowl MVP over Xander Vanderwall and the Colts. Of course, Malachi Madison and Xander Vanderwall were traded for each other last offseason, which made this game ironic in a sense. Tykeem Keon was also fantastic. He had 14 catches for nearly 200 yards and a receiving touchdown along with a passing touchdown. In my opinion, he probably should have been Super Bowl MVP. So now that we have finally won a championship, we are going to be able to kick off our long-term simulation and hopefully become a dynasty. In today's episode, we're going to get through 4 full seasons. That's 4 off seasons and 4 seasons. We're going to be able to see these guys in their primes today, hopefully winning multiple championships for years to come. The plan is that there's going to be 3 separate long-term simulation episodes to wrap up this series, and this is going to be the first one in which we get through seasons 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm excited to continue to build around this core. We do have some tough decisions in terms of roster construction. We're not going to be able to pay everybody, and that's going to start this offseason as we have a number of players who will be free agents. So I'm excited to hop into the next era of Philadelphia Eagles football as we enter the new offseason. That starts with the retirements here for the 2025 cycle, and we will be losing veteran pass rusher J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt's been a really nice addition to the team for the past year, and I'm happy to be able to finally get him that Super Bowl championship. He was banged up at times throughout the year, but it was really great having him as a veteran piece for us. J.J. Watt wraps up his career with 152 sacks, which is in the top 10 all time. He's one of the greatest defensive players ever, and is undoubtedly a first-ballot Hall of Famer, and now can say he's a Super Bowl champion. Other notable retirements here include DeAndre Hopkins, Cameron Hayward, Brandon Scherff, Levante David, and others. So now we get to the re-signings phase. I've been saving up money for a while, mainly for today. We have $150 million in cap space and a lot of guys we need to pay. I have been hinting at it really all season that we have a number of our key starters as free agents this offseason, and we've got to use our money wisely. That starts with Tykeem Keon. I think it's a no-brainer that we bring him back. He is going to be an Eagle lifer. 4 years, $87 million. He's back. Aaron Donald's an interesting one because he wasn't all that great this year, but I think he'll be really good in the sim. We re-sign him for 1 year, $20 million. That'll bring us to quarterback Malachi Madison. He's another guy who I think we're going to keep around for good. We signed him to a 7-year extension. Zebediah Phoenix II will also be getting 7 years. I don't want to let him go. So those 4 guys are out of the way, and that takes over, I think, $80 million in salary. But we're not done there. C.J. Thomas, 5 years, $53 million. He's back. Offensive guard Cesar Ruiz, 2 years for $16 million. He's back. Jason Kelsey, we cannot let him retire anywhere else. He, unfortunately, does not accept our deal, so he'll be going into free agency. And then we re-signed some depth pieces here with Caden Stearns, Courtney Pierce, and Joe Manning, along with safety Angelo Scarborough. So we have used over $100 million today. We have completely broken the bank. We were able to re-sign a majority of our core to contract extensions, but there are a few notable players who I have decided to let walk this offseason. Rosemont St. Clair and Winston Johnson are the main 2. I really like St. Clair, but I want to give him an opportunity to start elsewhere. It's kind of hard to manage a running back by committee in simulation, and this way Tazewell Hubbard can, unlock his wings and become the full-time guy. Winston Johnson's just too expensive. He wants $100 million. I'm not paying an off-ball cover linebacker that type of money. And then Tyler Palumbo we may get back to on the open market. I was expecting the first free agency class of the video to be really good, and it actually wasn't. Highest rated players are Ali Marpet, Rosemont St. Clair, John Franklin Myers, certainly not bad players, but I was expecting a little bit more here. But it's not a big deal. I don't want to be able to shell out too much money because we've already spent $110 million on re-signings. I ultimately just decided to bring back some of our previous offensive linemen with Tyler Palumbo, Jason Kelsey, and Ifo Nobo Jumbo Rocco. All three of them are back. So we didn't add any new players here in free agency as we had fifth-year options for Jabari Achabe and Tazwell Hubbard. I think both of those are going to be no-brainers. I know Jabari Achabe's had a hard time staying on the field the past couple of seasons, although he was pretty healthy this year. But he's an easy decision to say yes to. And then Tazwell Hubbard will be as well. With Rosemont St. Clair unfortunately no longer on the team, Tazwell Hubbard's going to be the full-time guy at running back going forward. So unfortunately, Rosemont St. Clair signed with Dallas. Yeah. Had I known he was going to sign with the Cowboys, I would have been glad to bring him back. But now he's on our arch rival. Dallas does lose Chet Kucharski, which is good. But still, I'm disappointed. Rosemont St. Clair is a Cowboy. Winston Johnson ended up signing with the Broncos for the $100+ million that he wanted. In the draft, we had a good first-round pick with offensive guard George Ham. He's a 71 overall with hidden development. Other than that, nothing too notable. We did draft a hidden development defensive tackle late, but not a spectacular draft for us, but we did hit on our first pick, which was the main goal. The top of this draft was weird. 2 corners in the top 2, then a few quarterbacks. The Raiders picked a QB in the first round for a third straight year. The Giants picked a quarterback in the first round for no reason at all. And then we had like 7 straight defensive ends go off the board. It was really weird. The Browns picked a quarterback. I don't really get that, although I guess Russ is getting a little bit older. And we also signed undrafted free agent Tavion Smith-Gardner of the Metropolis Bulldogs. You're going to start to see some Metropolis players get sprinkled in throughout the draft classes. Next year is going to have guys like Manuel Castillo and Osiris Young. So here is the schedule for Season 6. We start the year against the Detroit Lions for our home primetime opener on Thursday Night Football. Pretty challenging schedule there, but I think our team can handle it. The roster, for the most part, is pretty much the same. I did decide to sign Alexander Madison to give Tazwell Hubbard a backup. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same team as last year, minus not having Rosemont St. Clair or Winston Johnson. Although both of those guys were good players, technically Rosemont St. Clair wasn't even a starter, and Winston Johnson was really just a role player. So I think we'll be okay with letting those guys go. Ford Chavez will be the new starter at left outside linebacker, where Winston Johnson played last year. And you can also expect to see Hannibal Savage play there as well. For now, I have Tykeem Keon in the slot. I want the best receiver to be in the slot because the slot always gets a lot of targets in this game. So we're going to simulate to the mid-season mark. Before that, I went through week 1 and we lost. So we're not going 17-0 this year, unfortunately. Luckily, as we get to week 9, we are playing really well. We're 6-2, 6-1 since our opener, with the only other loss coming against the Seattle Seahawks, who, ironically, were 0-17 last year. Notable performers include Tazwell Hubbard and Josh Uche, who have both been really good so far, and Zebediah Phoenix has not missed a kick through his first 8 games. Simulating through the end of the season now, we go 11-6, which ends us as the number 3 seed in the NFC. We played mediocre to end the season, going 5-4 in our final 9 games as we look at the numbers for the year. Malachi Madison was solid. Tazwell Hubbard was really good, 21 touchdowns. Devontae Smith was our leading receiver. Tykeem Keon just shy of 1,000 yards. He was pretty solid as well. JT DeMarco with a career year as well. And then defensively, we had Aaron Donald and Josh Uche with double-digit sacks. Hannibal Savage led the team in interceptions. Nehemiah Richardson only had 1, and TJ Thomas had none. Zebediah Phoenix, unfortunately, was not perfect to end the season, but he was still very solid. Here's a look at the standings throughout the rest of the league. I believe the Lions went 16-1. Yeah, they're pretty good. The Lions have been a team on the rise the past few seasons, so I really wouldn't be surprised if it's us and them at the top of the NFC for a while. We're talking here with Malachi Madison. He thinks this is the end of the road for Aaron Donald, which wouldn't really surprise me. He's in his mid-30s now, so hopefully we can get Donald another ring before he retires. Our wildcard matchup is against Minnesota Vikings, who have Braylon DeBose-Durr, who they signed in free agency at quarterback, and he's coming off a pretty good season for them. The Vikings have been very up and down throughout this series, but clearly they see something in DeBose-Durr. He had a great year for them. They had a couple former Eagles in Deshaun Elliott and Jalen Reagor, so they will both be returning back to the link here for the postseason. We're going to be simcasting these playoff games. If the games are close, we're going to be hopping in. For those of you who watch the Metropolis Team Builder Dynasty, it's just like how we simcast those games. Here in the first quarter, the Vikings off to a nice start. They lead 7-0. We would respond. The Vikings add a field goal, so it's 10-7, and we tie it right at the buzzer going into halftime. In the third quarter, we're playing pretty well. We lead by 7. Going to go a little bit slower here in the fourth quarter. The Vikings are moving it down the field, and sure enough, they will tie the game at 20. Can the offense respond? They don't. The defense does get a stop, so there's 5 minutes left. The game is tied. I decided to hop in, because why not? So we're going to play here, try to win this game off. Here's a nice play by Tazwell Hubbard, juking his way past the 45-yard line. Tazwell Hubbard is an every down running back now. He is a lot more important in the pass game. Not the receiver that Rosemont St. Clair is, but very capable as a receiver. Nice throw up the middle for Ty Keane. He gets it to the 26-yard line, and we would eventually bring it inside the 5. 2nd and 1 here from the 3. Madison looking to take the lead under pressure, and he gets it to Ty Keane for the touchdown. And the Philadelphia Eagles take a late lead, as with 2:28 left to go, we will be ahead by 7. So now it's up to the defense to get the stop. Here's the big fella, DeBoster, on 2nd and 6, goes deep downfield. It's caught by Justin Jefferson, who gains 21 yards. The Vikings are moving it pretty well. They're getting close to field goal range. Not that a field goal really does anything at this point. 2nd and 10, DeBoster is sacked for a loss of 12. A huge play by the defense. Now it's a 4th down. Minnesota's season is on the line. Can the Eagles clinch a spot in the divisional round? Yes, they will, as the pass is dropped by the former first-rounder, Money Motique. And that will wrap this one up. A huge pass deflection there by the defense. And it's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle win. We take this one 27-20. Overall, a good performance. Devontae Smith, 10 for 132. Tykeem Keon was great as well. They were not the only former Eagle first-round receivers to play well. Jalen Reagor scored twice. How about that? Aaron Donald had a nice game as well, as that brings us to the 2nd round, where we're going to play the Cinderella darling of the season, the Seattle Seahawks, who have turned to Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and they have won 11 more games than they did last year. These guys did not win a single game a season ago, and they automatically flipped the switch to not just become, good, but they're a playoff team. They're the number 2 seed in the NFC. So the team who went 17-0 is facing off against the team who went 0-17 last year for a spot in the NFC Championship. Seattle beat us earlier in the season, which is why they were the higher seed, so we're looking for revenge. A lot of field goals so far. Seattle adds a touchdown. Seattle adds another one. They're up by 11. The Seahawks are playing well. They had another field goal. Not looking good. We had a field goal, cut the deficit down to 11. The offense has got to do something, and we choke. We're now down by 14, 4th and 8, incomplete. This game looks over. The Seattle Seahawks shocked the world. They are going to the NFC Championship, and the Philadelphia Eagles are eliminated here in the divisional round. The defending champs are done. So the Seattle Seahawks beat us here, and our Season 6 ends in a divisional round loss with a really bad performance from Malachi Madison, completing less than 50% of his passes. Aaron Donald, 2.5 sacks in what could be his final game as a pro. So an unfortunate end to the season there. The Seahawks are going to the NFC Championship, where they would eventually face off against the Dallas Cowboys, because the Detroit Lions cannot win a playoff game to save their goddamn lives. For Pro Bowlers, we got Malachi Madison, Tazwell Hubbard, Devontae Smith, that's 3. Nobody on the offensive line, it looks like. And then defensively, so far, nobody. Still nobody. Maybe a defensive back? No luck. We do get Zebediah Phoenix, though. So that's 4 Pro Bowlers. Madison, Hubbard, Smith, and Phoenix. Unfortunately, Dallas won the Super Bowl. That's not fun. So the Cowboys are the champs. I guess if there's any silver lining, it's that Rosemont St. Clair now has 2 rings, which is pretty cool. But still, we don't like to see Dallas win around here. It's especially ironic that Ezekiel Elliott, who is starting above St. Clair, ended up winning Super Bowl MVP. So that's pretty much how these seasons are going to go here in the long-term simulation as we now get into the Year 6 offseason. Here are the retirements. You may notice a notable omission. No Aaron Donald. So it looks like he is going to stick around for another year. So we've got Aaron Donald back for one more season. Tom Brady did decide to retire at the age of 50, thank God. But Aaron Donald's still around. Jason Kelce is also still here at 39 years old. I thought he was going to retire by like season 2. I don't know how he's still here. So for the re-sign phase, we've got a number of big-time pieces here, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, with the main player here being cornerback Nehemiah Richardson, who's a 99 overall, 4 years, $87 million, pretty much the same deal we gave to Tykeem Keon last year. He accepts it. Aaron Donald only wants 13.5. He says no. We're going to bring back our punter Jack Fox on a 2-year deal. Defensive back Joko Nwosu re-signs on a 5-year extension. Jason Kelce, we're going to try to re-sign. He says no, he wants to go to the open market. We're going to bring back offensive tackle Ifo Nobo Jumbo Roko, along with starting guard Marcus Crum, and then tight end Tavion Smith-Gardner as our undrafted free agent last year. We are letting some guys walk. Cleveland Ferrell, Boo McAllister are the main ones. Alexander Madison as well will be let go too. And then hopefully we'll be able to bring guys like Jason Kelce and Aaron Donald back in free agency. The free agency class is better than last year's, but it's still nothing per se outstanding. I was expecting to see more of the players who have been drafted throughout the series in here, but I guess a lot of them are being re-signed, which I guess makes sense. So we're going to try to re-sign Aaron Donald, Cleveland Ferrell, and Jason Kelce, while also bringing in running back Fayette Akibola, a former Westlake Hornet. All 4 of them accept, and we now have $0 in cap space. We literally have no money to spend. We now have 5th-year options here for defensive back Edmund Orient. Again, pretty much a no-brainer. He's a player who I think is going to stick around for a long time. We accept the 5th-year option. So free agency went pretty well. We got the 4 guys we wanted. CeCe Vaughn signs with the Saints. Maybe he'll finally get an opportunity to start. Unfortunately, he would not. The Saints' current starting quarterback is rated higher than him, so he's still a backup. Boob McAllister ended up signing with the Green Bay Packers. Dozier Baxby, our former tight end, signs with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then here are some other signings around the league of guys who have been relevant in this series. Former Eagle Apello Tuiai Sissoko ended up signing with the New York Giants, so he is going to stay in our division. I think the most surprising one is Fabian Suggs not being re-signed by the Chargers. He is headed to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 5-year deal. This is what our draft looks like. We had a good pick in the first round with pass rusher DeMarco Booker out of Boise State. Our other notable picks include a couple of former Metropolis Bulldogs. In round 3, we selected wide receiver Osiris Young. And then in round 4, we drafted Philadelphia native Donovan Barrington, who gets to return home. 2 of my favorite players in the Metropolis series are now here with the Eagles. The Titans picked a quarterback number 1 overall, even though they already have a pretty good young quarterback. The QB drafting in this game has just never made sense. I think the Browns picked a quarterback in the first round for a 2nd year in a row, and they already have Russell Wilson. As for the other former Metropolis players, Michael Roberson to Baltimore, Manuel Castillo is a Giant with Garrett McCullough, Brian McGrew is a Viking, Curtis Neal to New England, Terrell Cream drafted by Detroit. I made Cream a corner even though he played safety because I think he's better at corner. So that'll bring us to Season 7, the 2nd season of the long-term sim. We get to start the year against Dallas, which is pretty fun as we look at the lineup. Tazwell Hubbard, now a superstar X-Factor. The offensive starters are the same. The defensive starters are also the same. We brought our entire starting lineup back from last season. We pretty much had the exact same team for the most part, so hopefully we'll have another opportunity to get a Super Bowl championship. The game against Dallas is surprisingly on Sunday night. They normally have the defending champs start the year on Thursday, but they're having us start on Sunday this year. I don't know why, but okay. We have some other primetime games sprinkled in there. One against the Denver Broncos, whose starting quarterback is Maddox Gillard, our former 5th-round pick who's been a backup. We let him go after we won the Super Bowl, I guess, and he signed with Denver where he's now a starter. So through the first 8 weeks of the year, we're 5-2. We're playing pretty well. We're on top of the division. We beat Dallas in week 1. That's pretty nice. We didn't beat Dallas the second time around, unfortunately. We lost by 6. Malachi Madison is balling right now. His numbers are rivaling what he did as an MVP, but the ground game hasn't been so good. Tazwell Hubbard's really struggling. He's only averaging 3.5 yards per carry. But again, on the flip side, Tykeem Keon and Devontae Smith are both doing really well. Aaron Donald already has 10 sacks. He has not lost a sweat at 36 years old. And the secondary, not so much. We only have 1 interception through 7 games. So we're going to simulate through the rest of the regular season now. Hopefully we can continue to play pretty well. And sure enough, we would. We end up going 12-5, which will win us the division and get us the number 3 seed for a 2nd straight season. The team hasn't been as good as of recent. We've lost 3 of their last 5, including to Seattle, who beat us in the playoffs last year. I think the Seahawks just own us, clearly. Malachi Madison had a fantastic season. Tazwell Hubbard, not so much. Hopefully he can do a little bit better next year. Tykeem Keon had a phenomenal year. 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns on 106 catches. He led in yards. He was 2nd in touchdowns, and he was 3rd in receptions. Pretty damn good. Devontae Smith, unfortunately, held under 1,000 yards, but he wasn't too far back. The offensive line was solid, and then the defense was pretty good as well. Aaron Donald, 18.5 sacks. Look at Zaire Savage, 13.5. He's really breaking out into a good player. And then the interceptions went up a little bit since the midseason point. So as we get into the postseason, before that, Aaron Donald, Defensive Player of the Year at 36 years old. Malachi Madison and Tykeem Keon also taking in some awards, along with Jedrick Wills as well. Obviously, Aaron Donald taking home the best defensive lineman. So that'll bring us to the wild card round here against the New Orleans Saints as we look at the standings around the rest of the league. A lot of the teams who were good at the end of the series are still good. Interestingly, Denver went 13-4 with Maddox Gillard as their starting quarterback, might I add. So let's look at New Orleans here in the first round. Again, we have another one last hurrah storyline. Not for Aaron Donald, but instead for Jason Kelce. 5 years later than I expected. He's still playing strong at 39 years old. This appears to be it, but that's what they said about Aaron Donald last year, and he stuck around. The Saints are a pretty talented team. They still have Crawford Shawcross as their quarterback, and CeCe Vaughn is the backup. I don't know why CeCe signed there to be a backup, but whatever. They've been able to keep a large portion of their core over the years. They also still have former Eagle Akeem Davis-Gaither as well. They're a pretty talented team, but I think we're better than them, and hopefully we can get the win here. It's a light blizzard. There's not like a boatload of snow, but there's a little bit of snow. I have not seen many snow games in Madden during the daytime, so it's a little bit different because most of the snow games we've had in this series have been during the night. We start off strong, up 14-7 after the first quarter. New Orleans is keeping it competitive, though. Now they take the lead, and eventually we tie it at halftime. Very close game. We're now up. Now we're not up. We're down by 3 going into the fourth quarter. In the red zone, can we take the lead? No, but we tie it. So now it's 27-27. Both defenses are really starting to play well. Joko Onwusu gets a huge interception, and eventually we will score a touchdown. Tazewell Hubbard waltzes in. So it's 27-34. Hubbard with a 77-yard score. And now the Saints come marching in. They score a touchdown. We get an onside kick. It looks like we're chewing some clock. 3rd and 10. We only get 2, and we would have to punt. So the Saints get it back. I think it'd be a good time to hop into the game here and try to win it. New Orleans is out of timeouts. Is on 3rd and 10. It's a screen from Shawcross to Kamara, and he is wrapped up quickly by Ford Chavez. For the game, 4th and 8. Shawcross's pass is intercepted. C.J. Thomas picks it off, and he will not quite get it to the end zone. He was showboating and is brought down by the 1. So normally I would shoot clock here, but I decided not to, and there's a very specific reason for that. We wanted to get Tazewell Hubbard another touchdown because he has 5 today. Yeah, let me say that again. He's got, look at the thing, 5, along with 217 yards. 2nd and goal from the 1. We're going to look to call an audible. I'm pretty sure the record for the most touchdowns in any NFL game is 6, and that's what Tazewell Hubbard does right here. His 6th touchdown of the game. Tazewell Hubbard really struggled in the regular season, but I guess he wanted to save it all for the postseason, getting over 200 yards on 10-plus yards per carry and 6 touchdowns. I don't know off the top of my head if it's a postseason record, but I'd be very surprised if that wasn't a record. 6 touchdowns is unbelievable. Crawford Shawcross, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. There's Hubbard, 20 for 218 and 6. Have yourself a day, young man. What a performance for Tazewell Hubbard. The pass game wasn't all that good, but we just ran the ball down their throats, and clearly it worked. We got 3 interceptions, so we are now headed to the divisional round, where we will face off against the Green Bay Packers. Seattle ended up getting upset by Dallas, so we don't have to worry about the Seahawks again, and that'll bring us to this matchup here against the Packers. They drafted a first-round quarterback recently, but they still have Jordan Love. They will be without defensive back Ifeanyi Chukwu, and Dominic Porter, wide receiver as well. So the Packers are without a couple of their key players, both of those guys former first-round picks. We're rocking the Kelly Green alternates today. The last time the Packers came to the link, of course, we had the big game-winning touchdown from Madison to Keon right at the buzzer, one of the best plays of the series. Green Bay's hanging in there early, tied at 10. We score a late touchdown. We score another touchdown and are up by 14. The Packers are trying to keep it competitive, but they are currently struggling, down by 11. We would add another touchdown, and it looks like this game is over. We take this one 41-20 against the Green Bay Packers and are going to the NFC Championship game where we will face off against either the Panthers or the Cowboys. Malachi Madison, 4 touchdowns. He was very good. Last week was the Tazewell Hubbard game. Today was the Malachi Madison game. Keon and Hubbard were both very good in the receiving game, and then the defense was quite solid as well. 3 sacks for Zaire Savage, who has really turned into a good player. Savage was a little bit quiet as a rookie, but this season he has completely bursted onto the scene. So we're going to play the Carolina Panthers in the NFC Championship, a rematch from 2 seasons ago. The winner will face off against the Patriots or the Jaguars in Super Bowl 62. Carolina still is our good pal Jalen Hurts at quarterback. He is still balling for them these past few seasons in the 8th season of his career. They've been able to maintain their core, and they have continued to win games with Jalen Hurts at the helm. Carolina's looking for revenge. We beat them in the NFC Championship 2 years ago en route to us beating the Colts in the Super Bowl, and now Carolina wants that opportunity. They don't want to turn into the real-life version of the Green Bay Packers, who can never get over the hump, who always get far, but not far enough. Carolina's off to a strong start in the first quarter. We would quickly respond, tying the game at halftime. Hopefully we can keep it up in the second half. We definitely have the momentum. Nobody scored in the third quarter, so now into the fourth quarter, Carolina has the ball, but not for long. Nehemiah Richardson gets an interception, and then JT DeMarco scores a touchdown to put us ahead. Carolina's moving down the field. Can they punch it in? They do not. The defense comes up with a huge stop, and now the offense can look to finish off the game. We're moving down the field at will. We're chewing clock. And it doesn't look like Carolina's going to get the ball back. We win this game 21-14 and are headed back to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. The Carolina Panthers once again lose to the Philadelphia Eagles here in the NFC Championship. Last time it was in Philadelphia. This time it's in Carolina. Both quarterbacks were decent. I wouldn't say great, but certainly not bad. Tazewell Hubbard kind of struggled, although he did lead the team in catches. It was about the defense today. 3 sacks for Josh Uche. Uche had 3 sacks the last time we played the Panthers in the NFC Championship. I think Josh Uche owns 3 real estate in the Panthers' heads. So as we go into the Super Bowl, here's the Pro Bowl rosters featuring Jalen Hurts and the Panthers, who, of course, will not be participating in the Super Bowl. No Eagles on this roster for obvious reasons, although it is really cool to see a bunch of the players who have been drafted throughout this series, who we've gotten to know and love through the prospect profiles and whatnot. Chidobe Awuzie, my boy, he's a Pro Bowler for the Bengals in the AFC. So Jason Kelsey's talking to us about how this is it. This is his last game in year, I think, 18 of his career, and it'll be against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Super Bowl 62. They beat New England by 3 in the AFC Championship. The Jaguars made the Super Bowl back in Season 3 of this series, losing to the Dallas Cowboys, so they are looking for an opportunity at a championship led by quarterback Trevor Lawrence. They still have Kyle Pitts, who they acquired during the series, and they have maintained a large portion of their core. They have former Eagle Chase Claypool at wide receiver, although Claypool wasn't here very long, but he was a former Eagle. So here we go, Super Bowl 62 at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. I guess this is technically a home game for the Jaguars because Jacksonville and Tampa Bay can't be that far away from each other. The Philadelphia Eagles are looking for their second championship in 3 years. The Jaguars, meanwhile, are looking for their first championship ever. The Jags came close 4 seasons ago, losing to the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl 58, and now they're looking for an opportunity to beat Dallas's arch rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. The number 1 pick in the 2021 draft, Trevor Lawrence, facing off against the number 1 pick in the 2022 draft, Malachi Madison. We'll see who can get the win. We're going to simcast this game out. If it's close, we're going to hop in, and we lead 3-0 through 1. Not a bad start. The Jaguars are looking to move down the field. They score a touchdown. They score another touchdown. They're up by 11. In the third quarter, much of the same. The Jags have 2 more touchdowns. They lead 28-3. This game looks over. We pulled on a really impressive comeback. We brought it within 5, but it's not going to be enough. The Jacksonville Jaguars are Super Bowl 62 champions as they beat our Eagles 28-23. The Jaguars almost pulled off the New England Patriots. They almost blew the 28-3 lead, but unfortunately, it was too little too late. We struggled too much in the first 3 quarters to give us an opportunity to come back in the fourth, and although we gave it everything we got, unfortunately, we were unable to. So, William Trevor Lawrence is now a Super Bowl champion. Yes, his real name is William, for those who didn't know. And unfortunately, we lose our first Super Bowl of the series. Unfortunately, no one's going to pull off a Michael Jordan and go undefeated throughout every championship game we play. So now we've got a little bit of adversity. Through 2 seasons in the long-term sim, we've been good, but we haven't been able to win a championship, although we were very close here today, narrowly falling to our franchise team last year in Madden 21, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence was really solid. Malachi Madison, not so much. Unfortunately, Chase Claypool was a beast. 10 catches, 193 yards, and a touchdown. The former Eagle, who I don't even know if he had 193 yards in the 8 games we had him for, completely torches us today. Trevor Lawrence ended up winning Super Bowl MVP, and as you can see here, Jason Kelce is going to call it a career, unfortunately. 2 championships, 3 Super Bowl appearances, and an all-time great Philadelphia Eagle. So unfortunately, we lose here. Trevor Lawrence, as I said, Super Bowl MVP over Chase Claypool. That's like 2 years ago when they gave it to Malachi Madison over Tykeem Keon, who probably should have deserved it. Along with Jason Kelce, Aaron Donald is going to be retiring. Donald retires as the 2nd greatest player of all time in the game, a 1-time champion, and an unbelievable defensive player. Most of his season spent with the Rams, and then 1 with Chicago and 3 here with the Philadelphia Eagles. Donald wrapped up his career with a Defensive Player of the Year in his final season. He won, I think, 5 Defensive Player of the Years in his career. He finishes with 185.5 sacks, which is 3rd all-time, only behind Bruce Smith and Reggie White. Pretty good company. Aaron Donald's right at the top of the list of best defensive players in NFL history. I noticed Jason Kelce wasn't here, so I thought he was actually going to stick around, but as you can see, he's not on the roster, so that means he is going to be retiring. Jason Kelce, at 40 years old after 17 seasons, calls it a career from being an unknown 6th-round pick to a Philadelphia legend. He was the only player on the Super Bowl 52 roster who was also here 8 years later for the Super Bowl 60 roster. Jason Kelce will go down not just as a legend on the field, but off the field, of course, most notably for that Mummers speech. Some other retirements include a whole lot of Dallas Cowboys: Travis Kelce, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Khalil Mack. A lot of big names on this list, multiple first ballot Hall of Famers. So as we get into the re-signs phase, again, we've got a lot of guys here, starting with running back Tazwell Hubbard. It's not wise to pay a 6-year deal to a running back in real life, but in Madden, they don't regress, and I'm comfortable with paying him that. Jabari Achabe, 3 years, $62. He says no! So Achabe, unless we franchise tag him, will hit the open market. That'll bring us to Isaiah Simmons, who was a great free agent signing after the Season 3 offseason, and he says no. So that means at least one of Achabe or Simmons will hit the open market. I did re-sign Josh Uche. He was super cheap, so I figured, why not? 2 years, $13 million. From there, I decided to re-sign Mekhi Diggins. He was really cheap for a number 3 corner, only $4.5 million, so that seems like a good deal for us. And then I re-signed some depth pieces. Caden Stearns is back. Donovan Krause, the backup quarterback, he was super cheap. I did decide to let some guys go. Tyler Palumbo, J.C. DeMarco, Cesar Ruiz, Cleveland Ferrell. I then had to figure out what I wanted to do with the franchise tag. I ultimately chose Jabari Achabe, meaning that Isaiah Simmons will hit the open market. We have not seen the team change a lot in this series, but this offseason we are. We are letting a lot of guys walk, and we've got to be smart with how we use our money in a really talented free agency class. I wanted to bring back some guys, but I wasn't able to bring back everybody, so we had some tough decisions we had to make. Ultimately, instead of bringing back Isaiah Simmons, I decided to give a bid to middle linebacker Jarek Hague. He's younger, and he's cheaper, and he has X Factor. Cleveland Ferrell, I also wanted to bring back. I also want to revamp the offensive line, and everybody we offered accepted. We're also bringing back Apelu Tuiai-Sissoko after he actually left for a year with the Giants, and we also signed Kenny Golladay. JT DeMarco staying in the division. He signs with Washington. Taylor Tyler was in Washington last year, so he signs with New Orleans, and DeMarco will replace him. Tyler Palumbo and Cesar Ruiz both also staying in division, along with Hannibal Savage. So we've got a bunch of guys leaving for Washington. Isaiah Simmons signs with Detroit. That's a big deal because the Lions are always at the top of the NFC. Akeem Davis-Gaither signs with Carolina. Also a big deal because the Panthers are with us in Detroit at the top of the conference. So here for the NFL draft, we hit a grand slam with our first-round pick, drafting defensive end Nick Campbell, who looks like an absolute beast. He's a 78 overall with hidden development. We drafted another defensive end and former Metropolis Bulldog Chandler Bednarik. I want to get younger on the defensive line. Guys like Cleveland Ferrell and Josh Uche aren't going to stick around forever. The top 4 picks in the draft were all quarterbacks. We've got some Metropolis guys in the first round with Lewis Reed and Kevin Bowman. I know this kind of spoils a little bit because those guys haven't graduated in the Metropolis series yet. That's in the next episode, but that's just, the order of the videos. It's a little bit out of sync. Didi Santander drafted by the Bears, Jonathan Roberts to the Bucks, and then here are the other guys. Kyle Ward to the Giants, Figgy Akabuti to the Broncos, CL Frost also to the Chicago Bears with Didi Santander as well. So I'm excited to continue to keep tabs on those guys' careers as we enter the 8th season of the series. We start off against the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday night, a Super Bowl rematch. All 3 seasons today, we have started week 1 either as the defending champs or against the defending champs. The roster looks a little bit different. No more Tyler Palumbo, no more Isaiah Simmons, no more Cesar Ruiz. We have 4 new starters on the offensive line, although Jumbo Rocco and Ham were here last year, but neither of them were starters. And defensively, as I said, no more Isaiah Simmons, no more Aaron Donald as well, with him retiring. So the team does look a little bit different, and the core is starting to be shaken up quite a bit. So we're going to simulate to the midseason mark. Hopefully we can continue to play well. Before that, I do want to point something out real quick. We have a bunch of guys 99 overall. Smith, Richardson, Keon, and we've got a bunch of guys close as well. So hopefully we get some more 99 overalls before these guys start to regress. Now we're going to simulate to the midseason mark, and the team is 6-1. We're playing some great football on the year. We got revenge on Jacksonville. We started the year 6-0 before losing to Carolina. The Panthers getting some revenge on us for those NFC Championship games. During the Carolina game, Tazewell Hubbard tore his ACL. Not good. So Hubbard is done for the rest of the year. He may miss the start of next year too, or at least the preseason. So now Foyet Akibola is going to be the starting running back, and Donovan Barrington will have to step up as well. I am confident in those 2 players, but they're not as good as Tazewell Hubbard, let's be real. We're going to simulate to the end of the season now, and we did pretty good. We're 13-4. We get the number 2 seed in the NFC. We were not quite as good without Tazewell Hubbard as expected. But still, the 2 seed, we're playing pretty good here going into playoffs. Malachi Madison had another pretty good season. Tazewell Hubbard was playing well before his injury. After he left, Foyet Akibola came in. Low yards per carry, but he did score 17 times. Tykeem Keon and Devontae Smith were both fantastic, combining for well over 2,500 yards. Cleveland Ferrell with 12 sacks. Zaire Savage gets 11, 8 for Achabe. The pass rush really good here as Ferrell gets a career high in the sack category despite, getting older. He's not progressing at this point in his career in year 10. CJ Thomas leads the team in interceptions, and Zebediah Phoenix only missed 2 kicks all year. So that brings us to the first round against the Seattle Seahawks. We're still looking for revenge from them. The Lions went 16-1 again. I'm telling y'all, the Lions are going to be good for a long time. They have a really good quarterback in Jakari Johnson, and they are filled with talent. They are always really good in free agency, and they've drafted super well throughout this series, which is why I think it'll be us and them at the top of the NFC for a while. The Seahawks are, of course, still led by Baker Mayfield. They still have both him and Capricus Falconbridge. They have 2 number 1 overall pick X-Factor corners with Bryson Barraclaw, the first overall pick in the last full draft we did, and Zach Morton, who was the first overall pick in the first draft today. The Seahawks beat us at their place 2 years ago in the divisional round. We're still a little bit salty by that, so we want to come into this game, get some revenge on Seattle, and move on to the divisional round for what would be, I think, a 6th straight year. We did it the last 3 seasons of the actual series, and it would be the first 3 seasons of a long-term sim. And it looks like that might be the case. We're up 20-7. Now we're up by 16 points. I don't think Seattle's going to come back. It looks like we have this game in the bag as we had another touchdown, and we end up beating them pretty handedly, 30-13. So we do get our revenge on the Seattle Seahawks. We are headed to the divisional round. Malachi Madison with 3 touchdowns. He played very well. Baker Mayfield also pretty solid. We didn't run the ball great. I mean, that's what happens when Tazewell Hubbard is injured. Tykeem Keon was very good, and it looks like we got a whole lot of sacks. 2.5 for Achabe, 1.5 for Ferrell, and Zebediah Phoenix did his thing per usual. In the divisional round, we're going to face off against the San Francisco 49ers, who are the 3 seed. They beat the Bucs 17-0 in the first round. They shut them out. The Niners are a talented team. They've really kept their entire core. They still have Trey Lance, Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Trey Sermon, amongst others. Deebo Samuel is injured for this game. That's a big loss, but they still have a number of talented receivers, most notably Brandon Ayuk, along with, obviously, George Kittle. We played the Niners in our very first playoff game back in Season 3 in the wild card round, which we won. Now we have them here at home in a blizzard. It's snowing. We've had a lot of success in playoff games in the snow during this series, and hopefully we can do that again here against the Niners. We're starting off hot, up 10-0 through the first quarter, and we're going to keep the train moving. The Niners would make a nice little push towards halftime. They are only down by 6. We had a touchdown in the third to bring it up to 12. It looks like we should win this game. And yeah, we got this one in the bag. 29-14. The Eagles are advancing to the NFC Championship as we defeat the San Francisco 49ers. Malachi Madison was pretty good. Trey Lance, not so much. He got picked off 3 times. Fayette Akibolo was pretty good. Osiris Young, 5 catches, 154 yards, and a touchdown. He's really starting to break out. A lot of sacks on both sides. 4 for Nick Bosa, 3 for Clelin Ferrell. What has gotten into Clelin Ferrell? He is a machine. Mekhi Diggins with 2 interceptions as well. So that'll bring us to the NFC Championship, where we are going to face off against the 16-1 Detroit Lions, looking to finally get into the Super Bowl. The winner of this game will take on either the Kansas City Chiefs or the New York Jets. The Lions are loaded. Jakari Johnson is a beast. He has turned into an unbelievable player here in Detroit. They have a ton of stars on both sides of the ball. Guys like Zayden Savage, Osiris Jefferson, Ed Oliver, Isaiah Simmons, the former Eagle, is here as well. He signed a big deal with Detroit in the offseason. Us and the Lions are the 2 best teams on paper in the NFL, and one of us will be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. The Lions have still never made a Super Bowl in their franchise history. They finally win a playoff game, beating, I think, Dallas in the second round. Pretty close start here. We score a quick touchdown. We're up 7-0 here through the first quarter. We're definitely the underdogs here today against the Lions, who outscore us by 12 in the second quarter. In the third quarter, Detroit would continue to play well. They are up by 9. Can the Lions hold on to the lead as we have the ball with good field position? We do nothing with it. The Lions get it back. They score another touchdown. It's not looking good. We're down by 15. We do score another touchdown, but the Lions do as well. This game looks like it's over. The Lions win it 32-17. So another season and another non-Super Bowl win. The Detroit Lions are going to be representing the NFC in the bowl. Jakari Johnson outplays Malachi Madison. Osiris Jefferson was an animal. Devontae Smith was also an animal, nearly 200 yards. Lano Meander was also very good for the Lions. Look at all the sacks. 5 from Otmar Shepard, 4 from Jedrick Wills. Ed Oliver had 5. McLeisha Burgundy had 4.5. The Lions as a team, I think, had 11 or 12. Yeah, they're good, in case you didn't know. So the Lions are going to the Super Bowl. Our season, unfortunately, comes to a close. In the Pro Bowl, we have Malachi Madison. Xander Vanderwell made it for the AFC, by the way. Both Devontae Smith and Tykeem Keon get in, so that's 3. Otmar Shepard gets in after allowing 5 sacks in the NFC Championship game. George Ham gets in along with Jedrick Wills. Clelin Ferrell is in. Zaire Savage is in. Ford Chavez gets it. That's a lot of Pro Bowlers. Holy smokes. I think we had 6, 7. Joko Onwosu makes it as well. So ultimately, a really close Super Bowl between the Lions and the Chiefs, but it ultimately goes to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes win his, I think, 3rd ring, 2nd of the series, and Detroit still does not have a championship. So that'll bring us to the 4th and final season of today's video. Keep in mind, we still have 2 more long-term sim episodes after this. The core is starting to get older. Devontae Smith is 30. Richardson and Keon are 29. These guys are all in their prime now. The window for a Super Bowl is wide open, but I don't know how much longer it's going to be wide open. Kenny Golladay retires after just 1 year here. Other notable retirements include Ronnie Stanley, Xavier Howard, Devontae Adams, Kevin Byard, Stephon Tuitt, Mike Evans, who finishes 2nd all-time in receiving yards behind Jerry Rice. Evans recorded 1,000 yards in all 15 seasons of his career. Very impressive. For re-sign phase, I wanted to make sure to give Achebe a long-term deal that he likes. 4 years, $88 million. He is back. Devontae Smith's deal is up. He unfortunately says no. Jedrick Wills would also say no. So again, we have a tough decision with Smith and Wills. So now, because we lose 2 big guys, I want to make sure I can overpay these players just so we don't lose more than 1 guy to the open markets. That's what we're doing with Edmund Orient, Jack Fox, Zaire Savage. Thankfully, they're all coming back. I decided to let these 3 players go. Machado Yamaguchi's a little bit too expensive. Fayette Akibolo I don't really think we need. And Ford Chavez is asking for $100+ million for no reason. From there, I tried to re-sign Clelin Ferrell, who now has superstar development. He would say no. I didn't plan on keeping him this long, but he was too good last year not to bring back. Luckily, we do get Ifonobo Jumbo Rocco to return. And then I signed some depth guys, Cam Polk, Tadion Smith-Gardner, and Tykeem Keon's younger brother, Tayon Keon. So now we have a tough decision on our hands. What do we do with the franchise tag with Devontae Smith and Jedrick Wills? Ultimately, I picked Devontae Smith. He's been here since day 1. He's the only guy left from the day 1 roster. I don't want him going anywhere. So in free agency, we've got some notable names. Jedrick Wills, Rosemont St. Clair, after 3 years in Dallas, is back on the open market. I decided to continue to revamp the offensive line with Kevin Dotson, Fletcher Luce, and Steve Setzer. We drafted Fletcher Luce in the 2nd round a while ago to be the Jason Kelce replacement. Kelce just stuck around for 5 years longer than I expected. Luce has been somewhere else the past 2 years. I'm not sure where, but he is back here. We're going to accept George Ham's 5th-year option. He was the right guard we drafted at the beginning of the video, now entering the 4th year of his career. We ended up signing everybody who I had wanted. Rosemont St. Clair staying in the state of Texas. He signs with Houston. Fayette Akibola ends up signing with the Kansas City Chiefs, who lose Derek Watson, who's been at the top of the league leaderboard in receiving yards. Machado Yamaguchi signs with the Lions. How do the Lions have money? I mean, they sign like 5 big-name players every year. Last season it was Isaiah Simmons. This year it was Machado Yamaguchi. Wild. They're stealing all of our players. Jedrick Wills ended up signing with the Bengals for pretty cheap, so good for them. That'll bring us to the NFL Draft. I want to continue to get younger on the offensive line. That's what we did with our top pick as we selected offensive guard Dallas Quinton. 71 overall with hidden development. Pretty good selection. I think he's going to be a starter next year. Kevin Dotson only signed for 1 year. We drafted another Metropolis player with tight end Georgie Bucciarelli, another Philadelphia native. We got to keep the Philly guys here. I think Bucci is going to be the long-term tight end going forward with Machado Yamaguchi gone. 3 quarterbacks go in the top 3 to the Dolphins, Falcons, and Steelers, none of whom need quarterbacks. So again, why does this game do that? As for the Metropolis players who went off the board, Shannon Dixon to the Giants, Dallas Jones, the following pick, to the Seahawks, Mike Davis to the Texans, Stephen Brown got picked by the Jags, Deion Cannon goes to Atlanta, Napoleon Abubakar to the Texans, and Kemi Amembanigba goes to Washington, with Lionel Brothers being drafted by the Browns. It feels like half of our guys have gone to either the Giants or Washington in terms of free agents or in the draft. It's really weird. So this is what the team looks like going into the 4th and final season of the day. I think Malachi Madison got X Factor last year. I forgot to mention that. So yeah, he is X Factor now. And then this is what the defense looks like. I do want to point out something with Nehemiah Richardson real quick. He has a skill point, but he's 99 across the board. He's as good as it gets. I think this is good because that means he'll probably regress a little bit slower than, say, somebody like CJ Thomas, who's in the mid-90s. So hopefully Nehemiah Richardson can continue to stay in the high 90s for a while. I'm expecting these guys to really start regressing soon as we take a look at the schedule starting on Monday night this year against the Washington football team. We have a number of primetime games continued to be sprinkled out throughout the year as we're going to simulate to the midseason point. And again, the team's doing really well. We're 6-1. We're playing as expected. The division's really competitive. The Giants and the Cowboys are both pretty close. The only game we lost to is against Carolina. We always beat the Panthers in playoffs, but we can't beat them in the regular season. I guess I'd rather beat them in the postseason, so it's all worth it. I simulated through the rest of the year. We are 11-6, winning the division. We did not play well to exit the year. We lost our last 3 games, including another loss to the Seahawks, who, in fact, own us. Malachi Madison had a great year. Tazewell Hubbard with a rebound season, scoring 20 times. Devontae Smith and Tykeem Keon were both unbelievably good. Smith led the league in yards. Keon finished in 5th. Smith led in receptions. Keon finished in 2nd. And then Smith also was 2nd in touchdowns. Hey, there's O'Shane Yakabuti, a number of former Westlake and Metropolis guys at the top of that list, which is really cool. As for the defense, wait till you see this number. 13.5 sacks for Jabari Ajabe. First time he has had double-digit sacks since his rookie year. Hopefully he can finally live up to that potential. CJ Thomas was very good, so was Zebediah Phoenix. Devontae Smith won the Best Receiver Award with Tykeem Keon coming in 2nd. So that brings us here to the wild card round against the New York Giants, who I don't think have made the playoffs once in this entire series. They still have Anthony Cortez III at quarterback. He hasn't really panned out. He's never had a passer rating over 100. They ironically also have Manuel Castillo as well as their backup. Saquon Barkley is still here. A lot of the players who they've had throughout the series are still on the roster. They've maintained their core. They've just never been able to win until this year because they've always had us in Dallas making the playoffs in their division. Unfortunately, I will not be simcasting these playoff games because I tried to earlier and it glitched. I had to re-record this season like 4 separate times because the save file got all messed up with me simcasting games for whatever reason. So for now, we're just going to be simulating them like normal. So we're going to simulate the wild card round and we win. We only win by 3, 14-17. Malachi Madison really struggled. The offense as a whole wasn't that good outside of Tykeem Keon, but the defense was fantastic in this game, guiding us to the win. So now we get to the divisional round where we will face off against the Carolina Panthers. We get another opportunity to play against the Panthers here in the playoffs. They went 14-3 as the number 2 seed. They still have Jalen Hurts at quarterback, who has now been in the league 10 years. He's still been really good. The Panthers really want to have an opportunity to beat us after we've beaten them twice in the postseason in the NFC Championship. This time we face off against them a round earlier, and sure enough, the Carolina Panthers would end up getting their revenge. They beat us by a lot, 38-17. So in the 4 seasons that we went through today, we made the playoffs all 4 seasons. We won at least one playoff game every single year, but we did not win a Super Bowl. We made it into the second season, losing to the Jaguars, but we were not able to get a second ring, at least in this episode. In the Pro Bowl, we have Madison, Smith, Keon, that's 3. Hopefully we have some more guys. George Ham made it on the offensive line, that's 4. Ford Chavez made it with his new team. I think he signed with Atlanta. CJ Thomas ended up making it, so I'm pretty sure that is 5 Pro Bowlers for us. The Denver Broncos would end up beating the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Jay Gold Jr. wins Super Bowl MVP. Winston Johnson now has 2 Super Bowl champions, and you know who Denver's starting quarterback was? Maddox Gillard. Maddox Gillard was the starting quarterback on a Super Bowl winning team. I am speechless about that. It's ironic that the 2 big players who we let go right at the beginning of the episode, Rosemont St. Clair and Winston Johnson, both won Super Bowls with their new teams, but we haven't. So as we wrap up today's episode, we've got 2 more episodes here for the long-term simulation before we wrap it all up. I still think we had the talent to win a Super Bowl. Our guys are starting to get older. They're reaching the age of 30, which means regression is really going to start to hit soon. But I still think we're good enough to be a championship-level team. We're really going to be starting to talk about legacies in the next couple of episodes. We're going to eventually see guys starting to retire, hopefully ending up making the Hall of Fame. So next episode, we're going to see the ending of the primes of many of these guys on our core. And then the following episode, we're mainly going to see a lot of guys starting to retire, reflecting on their careers. And then that'll wrap it up. So hope everybody enjoyed part 1 of the long-term simulation. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.